Welcome to the Investing Success Show. I'm your host, Brian Patton, along with my co-host, Adam Whitmire.
Making it happen.
Making it happen. I like that.
That's right.
And today's show, we have Tony Brevard here with us. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you.
Tony is a good-looking fellow with 7A Funding Group and SBA Loan Exchange.
Yes.
And so I'd like to talk with him a little bit today about both of those. And Tony, welcome. I guess we'll get started with the SBA Loan Exchange. I first heard about this not too long ago, a month or so ago, and I was really interested in this new thing that you and your partner have created, and it's 5-6 months old, I think,
Yes.
when it's actually been live. Tell us what it is and how it benefits folks.
Well, thank you for having me, first
Sure.
of all. And I do have a face for radio, so I'm glad.
Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, we're on YouTube too.
So there's that.
Your camera's up there. Where's your camera go? Your camera's over there.
I'm right here. Okay. So the SBA Loan Exchange was an idea that Augustus Brown and I came up with.
Mm-hmm.
Augustus and I worked together for a few years back at Wells Fargo.
Hey, Augustus.
Hey, Augustus. And he and I always brainstorm about what makes things work. And this actually came out of my main company, which is called Capital Nucleus. And what Capital Nucleus does is create companies like this. So that small banks, big banks can all play in the same pool and be nice with each other and in the end help the client, which the most important thing. So the loan exchange, what it really does is it cleans up the minutia. Can I say that? Oh, I just did.
Mm-hmm.
So okay,
Right.
But it
You
cleans.
say whatever you want, Tony.
No, but it,
Unless Daniel edits it out, you'll be okay.
well, there you go. But it cleans up all the garbage that you find on other, I guess I call broker websites, where people just come in and throw deals against the wall and see if they stick.
Yeah.
We don't like that. It doesn't do you any good. Doesn't do me any good. Doesn't do the bank any good. So in our model, we came up with a way to service a bank-to-bank portal for good deals that one bank just couldn't do because their credit box may be a different size, that will fit another bank quite
Nicely.
easily. Yeah. But before it gets over there, we clean it up. We make sure we have all the right information. We collect all the data from tax returns to everything else.
You do some sort of pre-underwriting
Correct.
type stuff.
Correct.
So do you charge the borrower
No.
anything for that? So
No.
basically you just,
We're the best free service I'll ever have.
wow, no kidding.
Yes.
That's
And-
excellent.
By the way, we're the one of only 2 business brokers that are on your
That's
on,
correct.
on their
That's
site
right.
right
That's
now.
correct.
Clear-
That's true.
clear-
Yes, and that's by design. We wanted you there, and the other broker, we wanted there as well, just because of the types of things you guys are doing. And you're close enough to us so we can touch you, and make sure we are on the same page. What we need to get from you, or you can touch us and say, do this better. And at some point, it will grow to some other brokers, so it wouldn't necessarily stay
Right.
exclusive to the 2 of you guys. Maybe, we don't know.
Well,
But,
tell us about
yeah.
the process. So you I think I interrupted you.
No.
You're sort of pre-underwriting the deal and you
Yeah.
put it on the site.
So it looks like this. So the example I gave before we got on the air. Let's take Bank A and Bank B. Bank A could be a small community bank. Bank B could be a big bank, a SunTrust, a Wells Fargo, whatever. So banker from Bank A goes to a party, and they see someone at the party, and the person says, "Hey, I'd like to build this larger franchise restaurant," and the person at the bank knows they can't do it because it doesn't fit their box or it's too big, whatever. So what they do normally is they would just say, "We can't do that, good luck." What we're training people to do in the bank community, and I really mean that, we're trying to train them to think a certain way, is we go to them and we say, tell that person at the party, don't try to find it yourself. I'll do it for you and no cost to you. Just give me your name and your phone number. They take the name and phone number, stick it inside of our system. They literally go onto the SBALoanExchange.com, do a quick referral at the top right-hand side. A screen pops up. They throw in the name, phone number, and then a note or two, this person's trying to buy this type of restaurant. When that happens, it hits our team. Our team of underwriters all come from large commercial banks that you would recognize. and that's all they did for a living is underwrite these types of deals. They call this person that's been sent the referral, where the referral came from rather, and get all the information, do a quick screening, underwrite, and when they do that, they put it inside the system. When it hits the system, if you went to the page of what deals were there, you'll see a bunch of little one-liners in red or green. And when you go to them, if it's green, it's available. If it's red, someone else already has it. So in any event, it goes there, Bank B sees it, clicks the button to claim it. And once they claim it, by the way, it turns red, so they're the only ones that get to bid on it. So it's not like lendingtree.com. It's the one bank that can do it is the bank that's going to get it. Everyone's alerted in the system that they've gotten the deal. The referral source is, as is the ultimate loan candidate. They have 7 days to put a term sheet out. But again, remember, we've given them everything they need to do a term sheet.
To make it happen.
Yeah. They put the term sheet out. We re-extend the clock. They get another notice to the client that says the same thing. Hey, the term sheet's been issued. And then say 30, 45 days later, the deal closes. When it closes, everybody's happy because we pop bottles and all that kind of good stuff. But the best part about this is Bank A gets a referral for that. So when Bank B buys this deal, closes the deal, let's say it's a $2 million transaction, which is realistic. When they close the deal, they pay 1% to the exchange. The exchange pays a 0.5 point back to the person that gave us name and phone number. So now that person that couldn't do a deal at the other bank turns this in, they got a check for $10,000.
That's great.
Adam, see why I thought this was brilliant?
Yeah. No, that I can see.
I wish you'd have came up with that idea.
I
and
should
give
have
it to
came up
me.
with
You're
that.
very,
I thought I
very
did.
bright man.
Didn't I come up with this idea?
Did you do that?
I didn't.
Well, if you did, you didn't follow through with it.
Yeah.
Because
Obviously.
Tony did.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is a
The
good idea.
patent on the process says it's us. But
That's right.
but that's
good.
how it works. I mean, it sounds
great.
oversimplified, but
Well, that's what
yeah.
makes
Well,
it
it
work.
is so
When you have
right.
a
sort of
process
simple.
that's complete
Right.
and it's simple,
right.
then it's more replicatable.
And so the good part now is you mentioned you guys are on there. What we wanted to do for the banks in the system, because we try to get people to, while you're picking up deals, that's great, but keep throwing the ones in that don't fit your system. But it's hard to teach a banker to do that when you've done it a different way for 20 years. So we felt like marrying our concept with the business broker side of things makes it more complete, because you guys want to have situations where you put a project in the system and get an immediate match.
Yeah.
So you're going to get paid. Let's close this thing out. And so for us, it's nice because you've got all these bankers who, again, may not be hunters necessarily, but they're good skinners. And so putting the two together just makes it work, and it drives them to the exchange more often.
And we can do this for any SBA product.
Correct.
We can do it for commercial real estate product, and we can do it for business.
Correct.
So-
And like you talked with other guys in the session I saw earlier, 504 loans, 7A loans, even USDA loans, we could actually do that system as well. So there's a few different ways we can make that work. But we're just slowly expanding it. To your point, it's only a few months old. It's been very successful early on, so we're pleased with it. But we think that honestly, adding you guys and the other broker will grow it exponentially, just because your deal sizes are bigger.
Right.
Number one. Number two, the stuff you see by the time you bring it to us, you've already kind of vetted it yourself anyway. So it makes our job easier. It's a nice marriage.
Now, in most of the lending, tell me how this works geographically. Are these for specific geographic locations?
I'm sorry, I have water.
Well, this is why
It's
we
hot
all
in this
have
room. That's
water.
why you need water. Just be glad we're on.
We don't want it too
Let's be-
hot. We don't want Brian taking his shirt.
Tony, just be
clothes
glad we're
off.
on video because I used to take
Right.
my shirt off
Yeah.
when we're just doing
We
the
don't-
podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, folks.
Undressing.
We don't want to even
Again.
think about that visual.
I had a T-shirt on.
Remember
though.
what happened last time? So,
I'm going to rehab
Like
for that.
the Russian president over here.
Right, exactly.
great. Can we air this? Okay. So what you're telling me then is it's not just
No,
this
it's
specific-
everywhere. So if you look at our
when
system
you
right
say
now,
everywhere.
U.S.
Okay,
Yes.
it's national.
Yes.
Because we've got a lot of investor clients in California.
Yes.
A lot of investor clients in California that may like triple net leases or other investments type of like that they would like to buy or purchase.
No, again, it's
So I can't
SBA
do
has to
that.
be 51% ownership.
Okay, so if
or
they're
51%
operating like
usage.
a franchise,
Right. we can do that. Or let's say they're buying a building and they're going to put their office in half of it. That fits us.
Oh, that works perfect.
Yeah. So they're buying a strip mall, but half the mall is really them,
Okay.
for example.
And it's all SBA.
All SBA.
Okay. That works.
So
But again, it's national. We have there are about 45 banks on there right now, so it's growing kind of quickly. We have another 800 that we're trying to chat with right now to see how they.
800.
Yes.
Whew.
So I have a large following.
How'd you find time to come do our podcast today?
You're important to me.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
being very
That's a
serious.
lot.
You're
I
important to me.
appreciate
I don't do these. I really don't. I'm not because I don't. I'm important or anything. It's more like I just don't do them.
Yeah.
But this is such a great platform that you created, and it's
thank
worth
you.
our time to do that. So.
What I love about your I guess we call it product or your idea here is just the competition it creates in the marketplace
Correct.
for SBA lenders. You know, one of the things we hear from a lot of our clients, so much red tape with SBA and it takes so long. And, you know, I think a lot of times the SBA lenders may, you know, sort of they feel like they got a hold on this thing and they're so busy. So, you know, we'll just put this to the side for 10 to 14 days and I'll get back to it.
And
But
quite honestly,
that doesn't allow your process doesn't allow them
we
to
don't
do
let-
that really.
That can't happen.
Right.
And so honestly, you're right. That happens with some banks if they don't really know how to do it. You know, one of the things I was taught early in banking. I'm 50, so I've been in banking for 30 years. God, I sound
Wow,
I sound
you
much
don't
older
know.
now, right?
That's not that old,
You don't-
Tony. I'm 51. Come on.
Yeah, that's not me.
Well, I would have
you
said,
guys
you
look
know,
young.
This guy right
I'll say
here is
52.
like
You guys look young for
this
your
guy right
age.
here is
I'm
still in
52.
his 40s.
Come on, please.
You are. You're in your 40s.
Yes, I am.
You're such a liar.
Yes, I am.
No, I
That's right.
actually had to get a new headshot from him the other day. I said, dude, this headshot looks like you're 22 years old.
That's
He said,
right.
well,
That's funny.
he looked at it, he said, well, I think I took that when I was 22.
Like,
So he
where
sent
did
me
you
another
get that photo?
That's how you do
Did
it. Your
pull it
very
out
first
of
driver's
Facebook?
license
Yeah.
picture.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, that's right.
Yeah. But
You're never gonna see my face.
wait a minute, stop. I'm 50, so you can't get off task because I'll
That's
forget
right.
what I'm talking about. So we're talking about the speed and that type of thing.
Yes.
So and that's true. You do have banks who just time kills all deals, and so rather than them telling you no, they just wait you out until you walk away, and they could say, "Did you decline him?" No, I didn't decline him. He just left. Well, it was 3 months later. He was supposed to leave. And so in our model, to your point, we try to make that much faster. And if you go on the system and look at it, you'll see also we have partnerships with what we call LSPs, loan service providers. And what that means is if you have a bank that doesn't know how to do SBA but wants to be on our platform, come on in. The water's fine. We'll partner you with a loan service provider. So when you have deals come in, they'll underwrite it for you. They'll structure it for you. They'll service it for you. They can sell it on the secondary market. They do all that for you. And the bank can make the revenue from the interest expense and from selling the tail on the secondary market. So there's no excuse now for a bank not to do SBA. The only reason that you wouldn't do SBA is if you just are only going to be in a certain region and that region has no people in it. If you're doing anything that's outside of, Minot, North Dakota or something, don't shoot me, Minot. But, if you're in a tiny town or whatever,
right.
and that's your only town, then fine, you're only going to do one deal a decade maybe. But if most banks now are doing at least statewide, if not regional. I don't know any community bank that's still truly just in their community. If you do that, you're going to die, as they know. So we made the model, again, to address that as well. We tried to think of all the things that someone would say, why would I do this? Why wouldn't I do this? Whatever. And we try to fill in the blanks.
The other thing I really like about it is obviously the competition, like I mentioned, from time standpoint, but it seems like from a rate standpoint, it puts some competitive pressure
does.
on them.
Yeah.
It
Because
does.
if you don't come back with a really good term in 7 days, it's not like you can sit there and think, well, I got the relationship
Right.
here, and I'm gonna squeeze this one for a little bit higher
And
rate.
to
I
your-
don't think you can.
And to your point, that's right, because just because you give us the term sheet doesn't mean that you're going to get to keep it.
Right.
If you're going to just take somebody and give them prime plus 2 3/4, because that's the max rate you can do, which is an SBA max rate, and it's a bigger deal that deserves a better spread, we'll probably come back to you and say, are you sure that's your best offer?
So,
You know.
so I assume the borrower doesn't have to accept that. Do they have a
Right.
certain amount of time to accept it, or
That would be on the bank's discretion
Okay,
on that
gotcha.
part.
All
But
right.
for us, we push them because we're trying to make it
so
a
you're
time
staying
thing.
involved in the process
Correct.
then as
correct.
The,
So
I
we're
sort-
kind of
it
like
feels like a
the-
clearinghouse. I don't know if that's the
we're
word.
kind
Yeah.
of like that. So
Yeah.
we're kind of the watchmen when term sheets come in. They don't go to the borrower; they come to us, and we look at that because we know that there's a big difference in the prime plus 2 3/4 and prime plus 2 or prime plus 1.5. You know, and some banks have a model where they just say all of our deals are max priced, and on smaller deals that might work, but as they get bigger, the rates get thinner. As a general rule, and so we try to make sure that someone's not claiming a deal that's going to waste our time because your rate's not going to, it's not going to be worth the person's time. We're not going to make somebody go away necessarily. So we do that. No one else bids on it, then it's still your deal. But if I know that if we went back to market, we would have gotten better than that, I'll tell you that and let you change it before I take it back.
Adam, someday we're going to be thinking back. You remember when we interviewed Tony?
Yeah.
That dude's worth $500 million now, and it's
he's
sold
he's
SBA
forgotten us.
Loan Exchange.
I'll buy
forgotten
you a really
this
nice
now.
table when that happens.
That's
I
right.
swear, with a cushion.
No,
and
it
stuff.
sounds like it's a great platform. It sounds like a great opportunity for people because it gives them more options.
Correct.
Gives them a lot more
Correct.
options,
Correct.
and that's what people need today. Really,
And
to make
so
it work.
because what really helped push this along too is especially when you have the smaller deals that didn't have a lot of banks that would help them in their communities necessarily. And so we were on kind of a seek and destroy mission initially just to find banks that would do these smaller transactions nationally. You remember I talked to you about the Allstate thing offline? And so it was really more of a partnership with my 7A funding model when this originally came up. And then we said, well, what if we did that? And then we added this other person, this other layer, so on and so on and so on, and built this little design and took it to some people and patented a process, for lack of better words. And they were like, oh, this is good. So we felt like if they liked it, we would liked it. So
Well, it doesn't cost our clients anything, and it
Correct.
really helps
Exactly.
the process. So
exactly.
it really solves a lot of those issues that SBA,
Yeah.
the negative parts of SBA that
Yeah.
so many people don't like.
True. We're all about dispelling that rumor. There is paperwork, but there's paperwork and everything. But what I've found is most of the clients will tell you that it's a lot less paperwork than they thought it was.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less cumbersome than they thought it was. The only time we have clients who have an issue with that are when clients who try to tell us how to do what we do. And you have some of those. And invariably, they'll drop the ball somewhere on something, and it slows up a piece of the process. But in general, we collect a lot of it on the front end, and they don't realize we even gave it, took it from them. So,
What's the number one reason somebody would use an SBA loan over conventional?
the main thing I would think of is the lower down payment, and the other part would be if they have a lack of collateral, because the SBA is not a collateral. 7A is not collateral based
Wow, that's great.
loan. And so, wait, it's buzzing. Can you?
That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's not.
It's a good thing we're not live.
No, I'll just be like, hey, okay,
That's right.
I'm good now.
No, that's interesting. So this the collateral and the down payments.
Yeah. So, for example, let's go back to my Allstate insurance thing I was telling you about. My other company, we're the largest financier of Allstate insurance agencies in the country. What we did in that model was we figured out there's a large working capital need every time someone opened an agency. Working capital has no collateral. It's just air. And so a traditional bank can't do it, literally can't do it, because they have to have collateral in the mindset of the bank is collateral. So SBA makes that possible, number one. Number two, it makes it even more feasible because then they give you what we call reasonable terms. So whereas you might have found that before SBA, if someone needed, say, $100,000 for working capital, they may have gone to some little, I wouldn't say cash for title kind of company, but some kind of higher interest rate product, and it's on very short term, maybe 2-3 years. Like literally, they get killed for 3 years.
Yeah.
Our product is always a 10-year product on business acquisitions, and working capital fits in the BizAct model.
Okay.
So now you get $100,000 in that example. Even if you pay prime plus 2 3/4, which is 8 1/4 in today's world, your monthly payment's gonna be $1,200.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
You know, and you give people a chance to breathe.
Got it.
So SBA is built. The advantage of SBA
help
in that
them
example
succeed.
is, we're trying to make you win. And we do 640 credit scores, so we get people who you don't have to be, 800 credit score to get a loan.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be paying your bills, but you don't have to be like ridiculously
High.
over the top.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing. So interest rates are reasonable, the terms are reasonable, down payments are always in that 10-15% kind of range, and they don't encumber all your stuff.
No, that's great.
So
That's a good point.
That's
too.
great.
yeah, so I'm a big SBA proponent.
Excellent.
Well, Tony, we appreciate you joining us today. How can folks reach you if they want to reach out and talk more about either one of your companies there?
Well, the easiest thing for them to do, if they want to talk about the SBA Loan Exchange itself, they can go to www.sbaloanexchange.com, and just when they go to that main page, click on Give Me More Information, put their email address in, and we'll call them.
Okay.
If they are trying to do something with 7A Funding Group, our other group that's doing all the franchise lending and that type of thing, they can go to www.7A like Apple funding.com and put in information there. We'll contact them from there as well. So,
Great. Appreciate you being on the show today. This has been the Investing Success with Brian Patton and Adam Whitmire. We'll catch you next time. Make sure you rate and subscribe us.
Two really good looking men.
That's right.
Rate
you.
and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as check us out on the wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah.
Talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.